This boy was always bullied for his nerdy looks, but he never cared. However, as soon as he met his first love, the boy started feeling insecure and decided to drink a mysterious love potion. Little did he know, it was the worst decision ever made. This is Harold Kelp, an intelligent teenage boy who loves science. He spends most of his time in building new creative machines, and his best invention is Robin, a robot assistant. Harold apparently has no big problems in his life besides the weird nightmares about dodgeball and a black monster. One night while working on a project, Harold hears loud noises and asks Robin to investigate. It's the neighbors protesting against Harold's inventions that destroyed their lives. Harold tries to run away, but the neighbors have already broken into the house. Before they can attack Harold, Robin gives them some great news. Harold is accepted into Cerebrum Academy of Gifted Youths. The neighbors get happy to hear that because it's a boarding school which will keep Harold away from them. The next week, Harold excitedly reaches the school and gets mesmerized by the architecture. Moreover, it's the same place where his grandpa Julius Kelp works. He's a great scientist who also loves inventing machines just like Harold does. Even on the first day of the new school session, Julius is busy working on his space simulation ride. He gets really happy to see his beloved grandson and asks him about the latest projects. Harold explains how he accidentally exploded his bedroom, but Julius believes that one must experience failure to achieve real success. After greeting his grandpa, Harold proceeds to his dorm where he meets his roommates Zeke and Ned. They are no less weird than Harold, and immediately become his friends. Zeke and Ned love music, and invite Harold to watch their performance at the school club. Harold has never visited such a place before as he was always busy with his science projects. While exploring the club, Harold accidentally runs into school bully Brad and his mates who start making fun of his nerdy looks. Harold gets scared, but Zeke explains that Brad only barks and doesn't actually bite. It's better to just ignore him. Zeke takes his friends to a nearby table and calls the waiter to order drinks. The waiter is wearing a robot costume that scares Ned because he's an alien whose planet was invaded by robots. While trying to cheer up Ned, Harold gets stuck on a planetary decoration and falls on Brad. The bully gets really angry and hangs Harold by his underwear. A beautiful girl named Polly notices Harold and helps him get down. He falls in love with her at the first sight, but Polly may never date a nerd like him. The next morning, Harold joins the first class that's taken by Julius. He let the last batch of students pass out easily, but this year he wants to test the students to their extreme limits. As their first project, the students need to design and engineer their own functional motorbikes. Once they are ready, the students must present them in the motocross race challenge. Brad and his friends get really excited for this race because they love extreme sports. Before Julius can give more details, he gets a video call from the headmaster. After greeting the students, the headmaster starts scolding Julius for not building anything useful in the past few years. If he doesn't impress the headmaster with a new invention or the motor race, Julius will be kicked out of the institution. However, Julius seems relaxed as he's already working on a number of great projects. He also advises Harold to keep working hard, but Harold is already distracted. All he can think of right now is Polly. He discusses this matter with Zeke, but Zeke clearly states that nerds like them are out of Polly's league. Harold knows that too, but he can't get Polly out of his mind. He notices that Polly likes motorbikes, so Harold starts building one so he can drive beside her. Just in a few days, his bike is ready, but Harold is not a very good driver. He keeps getting in accidents and gives Brad a new excuse to bully him. Harold goes to take some help from Julius, but he is busy with his giant robot. He tests the weapons, but the robot loses control and causes a mess. The headmaster witnesses the incident too and calls Julius in office. Before leaving, Julius asks Harold about his progress on the new engine, but Harold totally forgot about it. Julius even offers bonus marks to Harold if he builds an engine for the giant robot. Later that night, Harold stays in Grandpa's lab to work on the engine, but instead of that, he keeps imagining how to convince Polly for a date. Suddenly, he notices Julius's computer file with the name Secret of Love. Harold gets curious and uses Robin to break the password. It is hiding the chemical procedure to make a love potion that will highlight one's attractive characteristics. Harold believes it's the answer to his prayers. He spends the whole night trying to make the love potion, and eventually succeeds. Robin keeps warning him, but Harold is imagining himself as a stronger, good-looking, and fearless guy, to whom Polly will say yes. Without worrying about the consequences, Harold drinks the potion and starts to have an emotional breakdown. Suddenly, a weird light surrounds him and changes both his appearance and personality. When he enters the club, no one recognizes him, so Harold creates a new identity with the name Jack. All the girls in the club can't stop staring at him, but Harold only approaches Polly. She also gets tempted by his breathtaking personality and doesn't suspect him at all. Brad and his mates try to mess with Harold, but he handles them like a professional. He invites Polly for a dance and also beats the bullies at the same time. The next day, Harold keeps sleeping for hours and doesn't remember anything about the last night. He even missed all his classes, and Jack has become the talk of the campus. Luckily, Robin was sober enough to remember everything and reminds Harold that he needs to get ready for a date with Polly, but of course he must drink the potion first. Jack is everything Harold always wanted to be, but never could. Dating Polly was like his biggest dream, but he may not remember it at all. However, Harold still wants to do it as he can't keep Polly waiting. After turning into Jack, he rushes to meet Polly and invites her for a motorbike ride. He drives really fearlessly, and Polly loves that. After reaching the club, they meet Brad, who's looking for the real Harold to bully. Suddenly, the staff makes an announcement and invites Zeke and Ned to the stage. They seem really nervous, so Brad starts making fun of them. Instead of defending his friends, Harold also mocks their performance. Zeke gets really angry and tells Harold to play the drums by himself, but Harold easily steals the audience with his talent, so Zeke and Ned leave the club in embarrassment. However, Polly doesn't like Harold's behavior at all and walks away. The next morning, Robin wakes up Harold because they need to talk about what happened last night. Harold notices Zeke fighting with the bullies and realizes that he failed to protect his friends. He also goes to check on Polly, but she is not in a good mood either. She clearly states that the last date was the worst one she ever had. Polly thought Jack was different, but he's just like Brad. She can't concentrate on the classes today and invites Harold for a motorbike ride. Harold says yes without a second thought, but Polly's driving is way more risky than he thought. She keeps speeding up and asks Harold to grab on tightly, but he's too shy to touch her. Polly gets worried about his safety and eventually pulls his hands over her waist. This is the biggest progress Harold has made so far. As soon as he reaches home, he shares everything with Robin. The cool guy he wanted to be is not even Polly's type. She seems to like Harold's real self. As he says that, his second personality Jack appears out of nowhere and pulls Harold into another dimension. Jack calls it Harold's unconscious mind that is full of different kinds of fears. Every time, Harold gets nervous or anxious, this terror land gets worse, and Jack has to suffer in it. Moreover, the monster Harold sees in his nightmares is called the Fear Beast that also lives in his unconscious mind. Jack's only way of escaping this world is the magic potion. Therefore, he tries to convince Harold to drink it again. When Harold doesn't agree, Jack throws him inside the dark pit where the Fear Beast lives. Luckily, Robin brings him back to the senses as they are getting late for class. Today, Professor Julius is teaching about molecules and introduces his cellular reconstruction device called the CRUD. It can turn anything into the object you desire. Brad suggests turning the chair into an alarm clock, but it turns into a cheese sandwich instead. Julius believes the CRUD has some bugs that are producing results based on the subconscious thoughts. While Julius fixes that, he wants all of his students to focus on the upcoming race as it is very important for their school representation. All the students start working, but Harold seems really distracted. Julius can't take it anymore and asks his grandson to share what's bothering him. Harold can't hide it anymore either, and reveals that he likes a girl. Julius is happy to hear it, and tells Harold that whoever he's going to date is a lucky girl. Harold may look dumb, but he's a very special boy by just being himself. This statement helps Harold get over his insecurities, and he finally gathers the courage to invite Polly for a date. Surprisingly, Polly agrees and looks forward to the night. Harold dresses up really well and decorates a romantic place to spend some time with Polly. Jack keeps appearing in random places and continuously talks about things to do on the first date. Harold ignores Jack anyway and rushes to open the door for Polly. When she kisses his cheek, Jack advises Harold to do the same, but Harold is really shy. He gives her a motor chain necklace as a gift and takes her to Julius' space ride. Polly loves the ride, but Jack keeps telling Harold that she is getting bored. Harold decides to turn on some music, but the Julius' song collection is really weird. To break the awkwardness, Harold does a funny dance that makes Polly laugh uncontrollably. In excitement, Harold hits the wrong buttons and the ride starts moving at full speed. Harold almost gets killed, but luckily, Polly loves such rides. She really enjoyed Harold's company and proceeds to kiss him, but Harold starts to panic as he didn't use any mouth freshener. This causes a mess in his unconscious mind and Jack begs him to calm down. Harold locks himself in the restroom and says goodbye to Polly without a kiss. The next morning, she asks him what happened, but Harold makes an excuse and looks forward to the next date. He needs to make a few more excuses as he forgot about the motocross race and the engine Julius told him to build. This makes Julius really angry because Harold kept skipping classes but didn't work on the engine. In response, Harold starts explaining the situation he's going through, but Julius says he knows it already. He was the first victim of the love potion, and his subconscious personality is named Buddy Love. However, he has learned how to control his two personalities. He turns into Love Buddy for now as he's more friendly and calm than Julius, and better at explaining things. He asks Harold to notice that Jack is no way better as he kept failing in class, and also failed to impress Polly. Harold doesn't need any changes to get Polly. He just needs to be himself. Julius completely trusts his grandson, but Harold is still confused. He locks himself in the locker room and starts wondering if he needs the potion to win the race. Jack keeps talking in his mind and calls Harold an idiot with no fashion sense or dancing skills. He can't even walk straight, so how's he going to participate in the race? Harold starts getting insecure again and decides to drink the potion, but Robin stops him in time. The robot spills down the potion and asks Harold to reach the track right now. However, Harold is really desperate to win and licks off the potion from the ground. He enters the track as himself, but when the race starts, Jack takes over his body and drives the motorbike like a pro. His skills are unmatchable and he takes the lead in no time. The other contestants can't understand what is happening and they keep getting knocked out of the race. In the end, only Harold and Polly are left behind, but Harold wins the race. Polly tries to congratulate him, but Harold runs to the locker room as Jack has refused to leave his body. Harold doesn't need him anymore, but Jack can't return to the dark, unconscious mind. While they are fighting, Harold's classmates reach there and witness the whole truth with their own eyes. Polly can't believe Harold deceived her even though she liked his real self. She returns the necklace and walks away after breaking up with Harold. Robin also leaves his side because Harold never listened to it. He must fix this mess by himself. Instead of figuring out a solution, Harold starts crying like a baby. Suddenly, he gets a call from Julius who needs his help in installing the engine. Harold wipes away his tears and gets up to meet his grandpa, but Jack starts torturing him again. Harold can't take it anymore and falls unconscious. Jack is still awake and takes control over Harold's body. He goes to the lab, and while Julius is busy, Jack makes a huge jar of the love potion and drinks it. He completely takes his form and decides to stay in this world forever. Jack thinks an old man like Julius can't stop him, but he doesn't know about the young and strong Love Buddy. He starts to insult Jack and beats him up in embarrassing ways. Jack gets really angry and puts on the helmet attached with the cellular reconstruction device. Love Buddy warns him about the consequences, but Jack doesn't listen and turns on the device. Its signal reaches the subconscious mind and pulls out both the Fear Beast and Harold stuck in there. The Fear Beast gets really happy to enter the real world and starts attacking everyone. The headmaster and the other students reach the lab too, but they start running away after seeing the monster. Harold proceeds towards his grandpa's giant robot and asks everyone to get inside it. They all make it in time, but poor Julius gets caught by the Fear Beast. Harold starts investigating this matter and figures out the beast is feeding on energy. If they turn off the cellular reconstruction device, the beast will disappear too. This time, Harold doesn't panic and takes the lead. He asks Jack to pilot the robot while Polly can help in the navigation. Afterward, he climbs into other units of the robot and explains tasks to the rest of them. Like a true leader, Harold also encourages everyone to work like a team. The robot climbs up the wall to escape the beast, but the deadly beast keeps following them. Eventually, they get caught by the beast, but thanks to their teamwork, Harold and his friends succeed in running away. They head to the powerhouse, but the beast blocks the door. Luckily, Robin reaches there out of nowhere and opens up the door. Jack drives the robot inside the powerhouse, but the Fear Beast keeps following them and eventually catches the robot. There's no option left, so Harold bravely jumps out of the robot and turns off the switch by himself. The cellular reconstruction device turns off, but the beast is still there and it swallows the robot. Afterward, it proceeds towards Harold and attacks him with his biggest fear, the dodge balls. Harold can't take it anymore and decides to face all of his fears. He looks into the monster's eyes and says it out loudly that he is not afraid of dodgeball anymore. He also doesn't care about his other fears like public humiliation, failing classes, and riding motorbike. He knows he is short and ugly, but Harold loves being himself. As he starts confessing his fear, the beast starts to get weaker and eventually disappears. Everyone is safe, and it's all because of Harold's brave confessions. The headmaster is shocked at Julius's insane invention, but it was fun, so Julius is not getting fired. Zeke and the bullies also make peace with each other and become good friends. Jack has made some friends too, but he needs to leave because he's just a subconscious thought. Meanwhile, Harold has finally gained his confidence and he asks Polly for a dance. He also returns the necklace and experiences his first kiss of love. Life gets easier and more fun when you give up on being insecure and start being yourself.